Welcome to MMAPlay365. I'm Newsome and I'm here to give you a Base AI recap from the UFC prediction software from last weekend's event at UFC 281. Now, coming off the week before, Base AI hit 91% across the straight pick prediction accuracy. This weekend we hit 71%, so listen, the numbers are starting to show and they're starting to be great. Again, we did do some more tweaks to the algorithm a few weeks ago. Obviously, with the way the sport evolves, the sport is constantly evolving and therefore we have to react to that with the algorithms as well. So it's not something that we've created that we're going to rest on our laurels, so to speak, and rely on just being successful while the sport's evolving, because that's just counterproductive. But since we made some tweaks a few weeks ago, the Base AI predictions again have just been absolutely sharp. So again, 71% this weekend. I'm going to go through, I think it's 6 of the fights that I've highlighted that I wanted to talk about. And in the first fight, I'm going to put this in the value section. So the value section is normally where Base AI has had an incorrect prediction, but Base AI has said the fight is going to be so much closer than what the betting line suggests, to the point where it creates value on the other side. So I'll give you that example right now. So the fight I'm talking about is Michael Trizano versus Seung Choi. Now, Trizano to win, Base AI did favour Seung Choi, but only by 51%. So Trizano to win was 49%, slightly not favoured by Base AI, but the odds implied on 49% is plus 104. So Base AI is saying that the fight is going to be close. Trizano probably should be just a slight underdog at plus 104. But actually on the betting line, you could have got between plus 150 and plus 170, depending on where you bet Trizano throughout fight week. So that provides a lot of value on that fight. So all Base AI was saying is, look, the fight's going to be close. We are favouring Seung Choi, but the bookies have got the odds way too wide. That's where it creates value. And that was why Trizano at 49%, being able to get him at plus 150 to plus 170 was the value side. So now we're going to move on to the solid winners section. So the first fight that I want to talk about here, Montel Jackson versus Julio Arce. Montel Jackson to win, Base AI had at 65%. Odds implied, that's minus 186. Now Jackson did close at around minus 200, so there was no value when you're looking at the Base AI predictions. There was no value to that betting line at minus 200 at close. However, Jackson did open up around a minus 150 favourite and obviously gradually increased to minus 200. So depending on if you did bet Jackson early or not, there could have been some value there. When you're comparing the predictions to Base AI's projections, but at 65% Base AI, it's a relatively confident pick. And of course, Montel Jackson did win relatively comfortable. So yeah, a solid pick for Montel Jackson there. The next one, Matt Frevola versus Ottman Azaitar. Now, it's interesting because when we put the predictions on the Base AI website, Matt Frevola was actually the underdog here, so there was no value on him at 51%. Now, that's what Base AI had him at, 51% to win the fight. So it was basically saying it was a near coin flip, but Frevola just on the good side of that coin at minus 104, odds implied. Now, you could have got Matt Frevola at close at plus 150, but like I say, when we first released the predictions, Matt Frevola was the favourite at around minus 130, I think. So at 51%, there was absolutely no value. But the more fight we went on, the line flipped, and then, that value started appearing on Frevola. And I think it's the first time that that's actually happened with Base AI and the line movement. So a real interesting one to watch throughout fight week. But ultimately, Frevola knocked Azaitar out, and it did end up being a solid prediction from Base AI that created value when looking at the final betting lines as well. So yeah, Matt Frevola, solid prediction. The next fight to talk about in the solid winners section, we've got Ryan Spann versus Dominick Reyes. So Ryan Spann was actually the Base AI Dog of the Week, which the Dog of the Week package is just $1.99 on the MMAPlay365 website. For that $1.99, you get Base AI's highest predicted underdog, and you also get the handicapper's favourite underdog, so my favourite underdog, and if both of those underdogs lose, we'll give you your money back anyway. So Ryan Spann was the Dog of the Week from Base AI. Base AI had Ryan Spann to win at 58%, so odds implied on that is minus 138. You could have got Ryan Spann at around plus 180, plus 195. So not only was it the highest predicted underdog on the entire, out of all the fighters on the event, it was also had a tremendous amount of value from a betting perspective as well, because like I said, Base AI is saying that Ryan Spann should be a moderate or a slight to moderate favourite in this fight, and you're getting a near 2-1 ticket on him. So honestly, in my opinion, it's one, like, I don't really use Base AI. You know, I've normally got all my analysis, breakdowns, and my betting thoughts from a betting perspective outlined before I see any of the Base AI results. But I kind of wish I took a flyer on Ryan Spann, just from a personal perspective, you know, maybe just a unit on that, just to, you know, back what Base AI was saying, because it was a very easy and solid prediction. Now, we're going to take that one step further. So Ryan Spann to win inside the distance. Now, although this is not absolutely categorized on the Base AI predictions, all I'm doing is adding the knockout and submission percentages together to get inside the distance, which you'd also get, you know, a DQ on the betting line as well. But Ryan Spann to win inside the distance, Base AI had at 48%. Now, odds implied, that's plus 108, but you could have got plus 275 on that betting ticket, which again is just insane value. Like, Ryan Spann to win inside the distance, Base AI projected to be a better number than what he was with his money line. So, you know, a crazy good prediction here. Now, the last aspect of this fight that I want to talk about is something that I've never mentioned on these recaps before, and that's a fighter to win in round one. Now, if you purchase a package and you have a look at how we outlay the predictions, it would be Ryan Spann to win by knockout in round one, Ryan Spann to win by knockout in round two, and the same with submission round one, submission round two. But what I've never done before is, because Ryan Spann, you don't know whether he's going to submit you or submit his opponent or knock them out, because he's got a good submission ability, but he's also huge with big power as well. So he's one of those fighters where you don't really want to take that exact hit on the exact method of victory, if that makes sense. So you wouldn't really want to say, right, I think he's going to win by submission or knockout. However, if you do think he's going to win in round one, because that's where he is absolutely strongest, then again, you can add the Ryan Spann wins by KO in round one percentage prediction with Ryan Spann wins via submission in round one percentage prediction, and then bet Ryan Spann to win in round one if there's enough value for you. Now, Ryan Spann to win in round one, so by knockout or submission, added together was 44%. Odds implied on that is still only plus 127. It's still lower than what his money line, it's still a shorter line than what his straight money line was, but you could have got plus 600 on Ryan Spann to win in round one, which is just insane. But with that win in round one, with the knockout and submission in round one added together, it just proves that there's so much you can do with Base AI, and, you know, with your calculations and comparing it to betting lines, or you could just really keep it simple and just bet the straight prediction winner. So yeah, listen, with that, it was a solid prediction with Ryan Spann across the board, absolutely nailed it. Now, in the final fight to talk about in the solid winner section, we've got a gem. Now, by a gem, what I mean by that is we've got the fighter to win, we've got the fighter to win inside the distance, we've got a specific method of victory, and we've got the method of victory plus round. Now, we've got Carlos Ulberg versus Negumereanu. Now, Carlos Ulberg was also an official bet from me as well. How this dude was not minus 200 at least on the betting line, I've got no idea. But from Base AI's perspective, Base AI said that he had a 55% chance to win the fight. 55% odds implied, that's minus 122. Now, again, depending on when you bet Ulberg and what line you got, you could have got a tiny little bit of value. And I personally bet him at minus 120. So from my perspective, I'd have got value compared to the Base AI predictions. But he did go up to around minus 130, minus 140, but then he came back down to, again, around minus 125. So there was in and around some value there at 55%. But we go one step further. Ulberg to win inside the distance, again, that's knockout and submission percentages added together, and that was 31.48%. There's a reason why I've gone for the point. Normally I just use math to round up and down for the sake of recording these podcasts, but 31.48% inside the distance, knockout and submission, odds implied, that's plus 218. And you could have had plus 145, plus 150 on the betting line, so there's no value there, right? Or very little value. Now, Ulberg to win via KO, TKO, 31.30%. So it's only 0.18% off from inside the distance. So basically what it's saying is Ulberg ain't going to win by submission. There's a very, 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 very slight chance he will. So you might as well be taking the better ticket if that's what you were looking at. Now at 31.30%, plus 219 odds implied, the betting ticket went up to around plus 195. So again, not too much value there, but definitely the right side betting KO TKO than betting inside the distance. Now, where we do get value, Ulberg to win by KO TKO in round one specifically. Bayes AI had that at 19%. Odds implied on that is plus 426. That would have been a plus 575 betting ticket. So that's where the best value was across the board, from the straight money line inside the distance, KO TKO. The best bet of that was Ulberg KO TKO in round one at 19%. That's where your value was. And again, across the board, it was just a solid prediction by Bayes AI on Carlos Ulberg. Now, the final fight that I do want to mention here is obviously the main event. You know, the changing of the guard, Alex Pereira becoming the new UFC middleweight champion against Israel Adesanya. You know, a lot of people bet Israel Adesanya, and I personally thought Adesanya was going to win the fight as well. But Pereira proved everybody wrong, and also Bayes AI proved everybody wrong also. So Bayes AI, actually, just before I go into that, I put this in the surprise winners section, that category there, just because when I looked at that, I was surprised that Bayes AI did pick Pereira to win, even though it was only by a small margin, which I'll talk about shortly. I was surprised nonetheless, not just from my perspective, but, you know, I thought the algorithms would have spun out an Israel Adesanya win for sure. But anyway, Alex Pereira, Bayes AI had to win at 51%, so almost a coin flip with the slight edge on Pereira. At 51% odds implied, that's minus 104. You could have got plus 190 on the betting line. So again, an insane amount of value. Even though it's only 51%, don't ever look at that and think, oh, it's a coin flip, Bayes AI is not sure. Yeah, it is a coin flip, and yeah, Bayes AI is saying that it could probably go either way, but in a fight that could go either way, that you're getting a near 2-to-1 betting ticket on, you know, there's a lot of value in that. Then we go one step further. Alex Pereira to win inside the distance. Again, knockout and submission added together. 42%. Odds implied on 42% is plus 138. If you'd have bet on Pereira inside the distance, plus 250. So again, an insane amount of value. Then we go one step further again. Pereira KO TKO 41%. So bear in mind there's only a 1% difference between KO TKO and inside the distance. Very similar to what I said with Ulberg. The Bayes AI is basically saying that, you know, Pereira ain't going to win by submission and he's more likely to win by knockout than any other way. So KO TKO 41%. Odds implied, that's plus 144. If you'd bet that on the betting line at the bookies, you'd have got a plus 275 ticket. So again, an insane amount of value. Listen, Bayes AI is solid. It had another good event here, coming off a really good event, a 91% the week before, and being in that minority of, you know, places that are predicting Alex Pereira to dethrone Israel Adesanya is impressive also. I'm looking forward to next week. As always, I say that every week, I know, but I'm always looking forward to next week predictions just to see where Bayes AI is favouring and just getting an insight to what the algorithms are predicting. So we'll be back again next week with a recap from this weekend's event at UFC Vegas 65. I'm Newsome. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again next week.